welcome everyone to the end of the National Apprenticeship Week 2022. The National Apprenticeship Week, it's its 15th annual week-long celebration of apprenticeships. We are lucky to have today Katie from Jet2, Adam from UK Cloud, Charlotte from easyJet, Chris from BCA. So thank you for taking the time to join us. This week really brings together businesses and apprentices across the country to shine a light on the positive impact that apprenticeships make on individuals, but also businesses and the wider economy. The theme for the week has been Build the Future, which reflects how apprenticeships can help individuals to develop skills and knowledge that's required for really rewarding careers. But also it's about how businesses use the apprenticeship programs really to build their talented workforce for the future. So if I could just start by going out and asking Katie the first question around, so what solutions does the apprenticeship bring to your business?
Thanks, Nicola. Yeah, I think for us coming out past the pandemic, we're really utilising the apprenticeship opportunities to build the future and build back better. Been pleased to be able to announce this week that we'll have a further 70 opportunities for apprentices across the business. And it really does help in bringing the skills we need to support us as we grow and in the future. Our engineering apprenticeship, for example, brings the skills we need, bringing in those skilled engineers. As we see, we've got right across the engineering industry, we have the issue of retirement related turnover, and we need to make sure we're developing the skills to support us in the future. Similarly within Jet2 and with probably most of the businesses, a lot of what we do is now based around IT skills. So our software development apprentices, for example, are making sure that our systems are functioning correctly so our customers can book that special holiday with us, trusting that our systems are working and they're secure. And our marketers as well. We have a lot of digital marketers and other marketing apprentices across the business, making sure we're approaching our customers in the right way and attracting those audiences so that people can understand what our offering is. So they really do help with bringing fresh perspectives, and the apprenticeship programs really help people to get that experience as well as the knowledge that supports them to do those future careers. It's giving the specific knowledge and skills that they need that will take them forwards in their careers.
Great, thanks, Katie. And is that predominantly new talent that you're bringing in, Katie, or is that existing staff upskilling as well?
We have a mixture across the business, so we're developing our future pipeline of talent through team leading and management apprenticeships, as well as looking at the technical skills that we need across areas such as finance and other areas in the business. So it's a great way of investing in developing existing colleagues and recognising their contribution by helping them to progress and develop within the business, as well as bringing in that new talent that we can help create those pipelines for the future.
Yeah, great, thank you. And can I come across to you, Adam?
Yes, so I find it's an interesting question, because normally with apprenticeships you're looking at purely the developmental stage for the apprentice, getting them into a role, but there are actual real benefits for the business as well. So I think particularly for us, traditional employees are pretty, they're set on one team. They have a defined job description, which means that they can't branch out to other areas. For us, the apprentices, we like to move in a rotation, and we can move them across the different teams. So there's benefit for us where we can move that resource pool around. But it provides additional benefit as well to the apprentice, because they're getting exposure to different projects, different teams, and getting to understand the business a lot better. We also, attempt to provide a role for the apprentices straight after they've finished their sort of portfolio and coursework, and recruiting costs and things, and the time that it takes to do that sort of level of recruiting. It's a real benefit to be able to get one of those apprentices straight into a role. They know exactly what they're doing. They've already built up all the relationships across the business, and they can hit the ground running on day one.
Yeah, that sounds so. The whole multi-skilling presumably helps when you get to the end of the apprenticeship for those different roles that you might have in the business, because they're getting exposure to different departments and different areas. So presumably that makes it easier for you, hopefully, to secure, or for the apprentice to secure, a permanent role at the end.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, we do find that school leavers, you know, don't necessarily have the right qualifications or experience, or don't have any experience really. And in the technology sector, we pretty much rely on people coming in with those qualifications. So we're able to use guys in quite junior roles, but then build them up and train them into specific areas where we actually have a need for them. So yeah, it's hugely symbiotic.
Yeah, it's a really good example of kind of that multi-skilling of the way you use apprenticeships. And just over to you, Charlotte.
Yeah, so similar to what both guys were saying, and especially Casey, so it really helps us enable us to grow and develop our people, giving them an opportunity to build their knowledge and skills in specialist areas. It provides a formalised training route, which allows people to get recognised qualifications as well. And also we've seen that with, for an example, our data apprenticeship, we launched it within our data team to help progress their skills, but also around the business where we do have people that will look after data in their roles, have really developed them to help with different projects they've been working on and really expand their knowledge. So that's been fantastic. And also, obviously, the aviation industry has been hard hit during the pandemic. So it's a great tool to be able to retain people, the people with the talent that we want within aviation, and to keep them growing and make sure that they have the skills for the future as well.
Yeah, and I suppose coming back to Katie's point about the number of apprentices they're taking on this year, you know, apprenticeships are really supporting that economy and the bounce back, and seen as a really good tool to support that recovery phase. So Chris, I know at BCA, so what's happening there?
So I mean, BCA continue to grow and expand the whole time. We're quite lucky because we've got quite a lot of divisions within BCA. So again, you know, you've got your legal, you've got your finance. So you know, we set up a target for this year of taking on or having 180 people doing a qualification. So we're looking well to hit that target. You know, in terms of what it does for us as a business. There's a big recruitment drive on at the moment for large goods vehicle drivers. So our teams up in Doncaster are using the apprenticeship opportunity to boost to that. So we've got a lot. We had 8 people start last month. We got a big number starting this month on the qualification. So that's helping us to move our vehicles around the country, but also helping to cure the shortage of, or help to cure the shortage of drivers. Well, we've also got a scheme at work also about the child management degree qualification. So every year we take on some CMDA students, and they'll go through the 3.5-year, 4-year program with us. So these individuals that haven't gone to university for whatever reason, and we put them through and we move them around the business or the different divisions as we see fit, which is right for them as well. They'll come out at the end with the degree. So, there's lots of different areas that we're really focused on at the moment that will bring big impact to the business. Another big area looking at the moment is your automotive technicians. So your panel, your paint, your auto care, and your mechanics. So, as we grow and expand with the growth of Cinch, it's important that we're still able to have new individuals coming into the business, whether that's out of a college or fresh from school, that we can then put them through the panel, the paint or the auto care apprenticeships to give them that future skill, and make sure that actually we're succession planning for the future as well.
Yeah, great. Sounds really good. That whole progression planning is really important. And I just wondered whether you've been looking at the boot camps, because that's been a major new program that's been out there, which is a good feeder or stepping stone to an apprenticeship. So I know LGV, there's been these new boot camps about giving that short, sharp program to help try and increase the number of drivers, and I wondered if you'd looked at that and maybe looking at that as a progression route then onto the apprenticeship for your business.
Yeah, absolutely, especially within digital side, because there's a lot of digital boot camps that are available at the moment. So we are looking at those from a BCA point of view, and also from a Cinch point of view, which we can then utilise the boot camps to get people the skills and knowledge to then progress them onto an apprenticeship and move up within the business. So it is something we're quite early stages at it, to be honest, but it is something we are looking at.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, you know, looking at progression routes. So one of the pieces of work that we're doing at Estio is really trying to work with our employers to kind of really do some mapping exercises to look at how you can bring talent in at different levels and what that progression route through the business might look like. You know, Chris, you were talking about degree apprenticeships. That's opened up a whole new kind of field for individuals to progress, whether you're coming in at level 2, 3, but you're able to go on to a 4, 5. I just wonder, maybe Katie, in your business, have you been looking at those progression routes yourselves?
Absolutely. We're trying to create those pipelines for individuals, so there is progression, there's next steps if they want it, but making sure it's right for those individuals before they kind of progress onwards. So we're bringing in level 4s that then may progress on to level 7s, and making sure that they can progress smoothly up that pipeline, really, through the qualifications. But yeah, it's certainly something we're looking at the moment, as we're seeing our first apprentices sort of rolling off of their apprenticeship. What's the next steps for them? What are the different options and routes for them in terms of what roles they might want to go into, because they can always take sideways steps, and there's quite a broad range of roles that they could go into as they step off their apprenticeship.
Yeah, that's really good. I know, you know, we work with some employers where they've got barriers. They've had barriers internally of moving individuals from operational level then into kind of management, and so they've actually been using the apprenticeship program as that kind of bridging to help move the individual with their skills up to then that management position. I don't know if it's a bit early days, is it, Adam, for your programs, or are you looking at progression routes in your business also?
Yeah, we have considered, you know, moving some of the apprentices onto to the next sort of apprentice stage, different level. The uptake has been small, but we are open to allowing those engineers to go do that. In sort of place of that, what we've done is, again, I talked about the rotations that the engineers get to go on, allowing them better exposure to all the different types of engineering that we do within technology. That then enables them to see whether or not they are, you know, the current apprenticeship that they're on is right for them, or whether they would need to move into something else. But it, you know, within those teams, there are progression routes then mapped out that move through the sort of first, second, third line engineering routes, and then later the supervisory routes that you talked about.
Yeah, it's really great to hear, because, you know, apprenticeships for me are not just a qualification. They're actually a tool that you can use to really sort of develop those individuals, but support your business with those business solutions. They can provide really good tools to bridge those gaps. So Charlotte, I just wondered, at easyJet, have you had chance to start looking at some of those progression routes yourselves as well?
Yeah, we have. So we haven't done a full mapping exercise, that's to come, but we have started with different teams within the business on looking at those different levels. I mean, it's such an advantage having the different levels to be able to bring people in at the right level for them, as well as the business and what we need. So one of the things we need to take into consideration is that, how does this support the team itself, and is there the right support for the apprentices when they're coming in and moving through the different levels? So we want to make sure it's right before rushing in and putting in the different levels. So that's one of the key factors that we need to think about. But we have launched like a level 3 in data, and we have the level 4 and we have the level 7. So people can see clearly what is it on those and how they can progress their career through the different levels if they want to.
Yeah, that's great. And so just talking about the future, so, you know, at the moment, it's really great to hear all of the vacancies that you're generating and opportunities for individuals. What does the future hold? Have you got big plans in your business, say over the next few years, around how you're going to be using, apprenticeships to provide that business solution to workforce planning and people development? I don't know, Chris, if you've got bigger plans, because I see Grinch is on telly quite a lot, and I think you're probably fairly busy with the car market for sure. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, apprenticeships are integral to our future, and if you sort of go from the whole journey that a car goes through, because we deal with cars that come brand new into the country, and we sort of have the whole life cycle through to just before scrappage. We need the trucks to be moving the cars around, so we need to use the apprenticeship scheme for the truck drivers. We need, when the cars are going into our free solutions, which take all the bumps and scrapes out the cars that have been damaged. We need the apprentices there to be able to do the panel and the paint. We'll need the future leaders and the CMDA students that are going to be going through, but also we need logistics, we need customer service, we need business and admin, we need the data side for Cinch. We need the legal. We've got about 60 different qualifications that we can promote throughout the business in 8 different sectors throughout the business, and they're all integral to making sure that we can grow that talent pool. So when we have individuals leaving the workshop, retiring, for example, that we have that pipeline ready to step up into those positions. And where managers do move on, we have, and as we grow and expand, we do have managers that have gone through the degrees or just the experience of doing the level 2, level 3 team leader, ops departmental manager qualifications that can then step up into those roles, know and understand the business and how it works as a whole, as opposed to just an individual division within a large organisation.
Yeah, that's great. And then just to turning to the airline. So you've been sort of, the whole pandemic has just been a bit of a nightmare for you. So are you looking now for the future? It's great to hear that you're both responding and taking apprentices on. What does the future hold from an apprenticeship perspective? Maybe Katie, if you're happy to go first.
Yeah, sure. I think for us, it is about building the skills that we need for now and in the future. And similar to Chris, it's utilising the apprenticeship, the opportunities that apprenticeships bring to develop our colleagues and make sure we've got giving people the skills and knowledge they need to progress in their careers. So that we've got people going on to our team leading apprenticeship and our management apprenticeship that will give them the skills to step up as those positions come available, or if they're new to those roles, we're giving them the skills and knowledge that will help them to do those jobs really well, and take us into the future and help us grow. So it's just making sure we've got the right skills in the right place at the right time, and it's a great way of developing and investing in our colleagues.
Yeah, that's great. And Charlotte, from an easyJet perspective, you're starting to get busy and bounce back. And
yeah, always busy. I think even when we weren't flying, aviation is still busy. There's still things happening. So I'm sure Katie can contest that as well. We're quite a lean organisation, so where we need to ramp up quickly, we need to make sure that we have the support and we have the time to do that, especially if we're looking at apprenticeships and 20% off the job, making sure that people have that time and can really get into their apprenticeship and do that work and know. So it's a careful balance that we need to make sure. So we have gone out this week with our engineering apprenticeships, which is great to see back. Obviously, we had to pause them during the pandemic, and for even our cabin crew now, they're starting to come back for hopefully a really busy summer as well. So we are looking to the future, and just like the other two have said, it is all about those skills that we need for the future now and what's best for the business and aviation industry altogether, really.
Yeah. And Adam, from your perspective, is it a little bit early to tell what sort of numbers you might be looking at, for the future? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, difficult to know the exact numbers, but we're coming out of the pandemic. We're looking to scale like everybody else. So we will want to increase our apprenticeship scheme. The reason being, for us specifically, it's quite niche, but we are a multi-cloud provider, and that means we have multiple cloud technologies, and it's very difficult to find an engineer that has knowledge of all of these cloud technologies and tools and can work with them. So getting an apprentice in and giving them exposure to all of these technologies, we're able to find really well-rounded engineers and use them. So it will be of particularly value to us in the future for sure.
Yeah, sounds like it's really bridging a skills gap for you, which is really great to hear. And just kind of moving on a little bit about the whole green agenda, we've heard quite a lot in the press with COP26 and net zero, and so it'd be quite interesting. We held a green skills summit last week, which I chaired, which was made up of training providers and the FE sector, really talking and discussing around what does it mean to us, what does the green skills agenda mean, and what do we need to be doing to help support our employers and make sure that we're preparing our own workforce to support and deliver those skills that are needed in the future. I'd just be really interested to get some thoughts on how you think we should be embedding the whole green skills agenda into, you know, skills, behaviours, development, knowledge, the apprenticeships in general. So I don't know, Chris, if you've got any comments. It might still be a bit of a new subject for some of us, but I just wondered if you had any thoughts.
Yeah, I was not wanting you to come to me first on this one, to be honest, because I wasn't sure. But I think it's really difficult. If you look at the way automotive is, you know, it's not known as it's one of the greener companies because it's all diesel, petrol, fuel, things like that. And I guess for aviation, it's the same. But
Yeah.
we can do our part, you know. We can try and look at energy savings. We can look at the solar panels on all of our sites. We have loads of you know, lots of land, lots of sites that we can go on. We need to retrain our automotive colleagues because of EV cars coming in. That's a massive thing for us at the moment. But we then got to look at how we're going to have that laid out on our sites and how that's going to sort of have the configuration there. So, but you know, we are looking to upskill all of our current yard colleagues because they've got to know how to use electric vehicles and valet them and charge them. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I know we are looking at doing that. We've got teams that are being introduced into the company to specifically look at that and try and change what we can do in the meantime with a longer plan.
Yeah, and it would be great to work with those teams. We're really looking at how can we change people's behaviours and do those small little steps. And one of the items that came up in the Green Summit last week was about maybe just embedding kind of some behaviour changes to help individuals just think about the environment that you work in, what can you do as an individual, and whether we should be embedding that into the apprenticeship, or should we be adding a sustainability functional skill. So you'll know we've got currently Maths and English that are part of the apprenticeship as a functional skill. We've got the digital functional skill that will be coming in shortly, and we're just wondering whether either we embed it into as a module or a unit within the apprenticeship, or whether we should be looking at sustainability as actually a functional skill that is part of a programme. I'd be really interested, Katie, Charlotte, Adam, if you've got any comments on that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think putting it into the apprenticeship standards, I think everyone's role touches it in some way, and making people think about it and get them to look at how what they are doing on that standard and what they are learning relates to it. So yeah, I would be supportive of that.
I think it's a great idea. Our company is pretty passionate about anything relating to, you know, being green. Technology sector obviously uses a lot of electricity, in particular data centers. UK Cloud's actually carbon neutral, but you know, having a well-trained workforce of engineers, you know, if they're making systems more efficient, then effectively the computers are using less electricity. So that's a significant benefit. Yeah.
And was there anything you wanted to add, Katie?
I think, you know, we as a business at Jet2, we've always been very passionate about sustainability, and we launched our net zero strategy formally last year to sort of put it out to customers what we do around sustainability. And I think our strategy kind of comes on the ground, in the air, and in resort. So we're trying to reach out to our supply chain as well. And I think it would be great to see sustainability added within the standards that we have and that we offer across the business. So So I think that would be fantastic to see more focus on that and how we can embed that into apprenticeships.
And it'd be really good, you know, if you've got people within your organisations that we can link up. I know at ALP, I sit on their board, and that's how I came to chair the summit last week. And we're sort of setting up a task and finish group really to start looking at how can we equip our own workforce to support yours, but also what does that look, what do those green jobs look like? Are they new jobs? What about existing jobs? Are they going to change? How can we change people's general behaviour to impact on the environment? And so we're hoping to come up with some basic principles that maybe independent training providers and colleges adhere to and sign up to, and then part of that will then be to work with our employers to share those practices. So it sounds like we're fairly all in the same place of trying to learn more about green. What does it mean and how can we move forward with it? So I'll keep you updated on our progress. Just kind of moving back to the future of apprenticeships, you know, what more can we do to kind of improve the uptake of apprenticeships? So we know, you know, early talent have been impacted by the pandemic, and you know, some haven't experienced actually going into an office because they've managed to get on an apprenticeship, but they're still working online. We've got young people that stayed on at college and sixth form, perhaps, that would have really gone off to an apprenticeship. What more can we do as an industry to really push the uptake of apprenticeships? Adam, I don't know if you've got any thoughts.
I don't know I have any answers for you, but I do think that you know, a lot of university courses that people might go on these days that aren't, you know, doesn't have the value that it once used to, and so perhaps sort of providing a projection of actually what you can earn and what you can do within the short period of time doing an apprenticeship compared with, you know, the prohibitive amounts of debt that you're going to get from university. It might persuade some people actually to go straight into the apprenticeship scheme and start earning.
I think a lot of it's probably the awareness of it as well, isn't it? I think, like you said, there is a big stereotype around apprenticeships just being for you, I guess, your stereotypical spotty teenager, where I guess, like you said, they're available to all ages now. So it's not just that barrier to success for people. Like you say, it's there to all ages, really, isn't it? So I think, yeah, a big thing around awareness and making sure that people are aware of that pathway, whether it's from school, college, university, even to also get the foot in the door somewhere and still get the qualifications and the experience that go with it. And like I say, they could then kick on with the careers from there, as we've already discussed, the progression routes from level 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whichever level that they come in at, there is a progression route for them. So I think, yeah, just a big thing around awareness for us.
Yeah, agree, Jake. I don't know if anyone else has got any other comments around how we can kind of really get that message out there. You know, building on what Jake's just saying about it's for any age, any person. Also encouraging perhaps those individuals that are being pushed to go on to university or on to college, and actually an apprenticeship would be a better route. I don't know if anyone else has got any thoughts.
Yeah. I agree with Jake. There needs to be more of an education piece at school level around what apprenticeships can offer. Going to sixth form, going to further education, going to university isn't for everybody. There's some that just want to get in there and earn a wage and carve out a career for themselves. And if we can inform them more at a school level, just before they, you know, as they're finishing their GCSEs, they have that option to think what's the best route for them. You know, if they want to go and get a job, earn some money, get a qualification, build that a new friend network around them from work colleagues, then there's a way of doing it instead of going through the further education, through the college, universities, and then to work from there.
Yeah, I think when I look back to when I was leaving school, if you talked about apprenticeships, it was very much sort of, you want to be a brickie or an electrician, and it was always very much trades, whereas there's obviously scope now to do an apprenticeship in anything. I think it's just giving, I guess, schools and colleges as well that knowledge that this is a career path that they can go down if they want to, and it's not just your manual, hands-on sort of job roles, really.
Yeah,
I think it's
sorry, go on, Charlotte.
No, I was just going to say it's important to showcase the people that are on apprenticeships, to showcase that it's not, like you say, it's not just those 16-year-olds and 18-year-olds, it's any age, and actually showing people in roles already within business and they're on an apprenticeship and people's journey. If you bring it to life with people, it's going to be far more interactive and people understand that that could be them than just talking about it or just seeing a job description. It doesn't bring it to life. So that's the way we do it. We make sure we put the faces out there. We give people their story to help showcase.
Yeah, that sounds great. Was there anything you wanted to add, Katie?
I think we've made some headway within education, in careers advisors in schools, having targets for actually having employers come in and talk about what the opportunities are. So I think awareness of apprenticeships has started to increase, although I don't think the pandemic's helped with a lot of schools saying the doors are closed, you can't come in. But we're seeing that open up again, which I think is fantastic. But I think there's still a big education piece for education and around what those opportunities look like. As Jake said, they still see it as the traditional electricians, bricklayers, and there's over 600 different apprenticeships out there for people across such a broad range now. There's almost something for everybody there. So I still think there's a big education piece for schools in supporting students to understand those options at the right stages, such as GCSE, A level. What's the right next step for them, and what are the alternatives when they're looking at, okay, I could do a degree in this. Is there the degree apprenticeship route or other options that they could take that will get them to the same place, potentially with less debt and more experience?
Yeah, I think there's been a massive focus on really educating employers, and that's gone down really well. Just talking to the panel today, sounds amazing how you're using apprenticeships to support your workforce planning and people development, and you're using that to succession plan, talent, build your talent pipelines, widen diversity, bridge those skills gaps and upskill your existing workforce, which is great. I think there's another piece of work we really need to be working on government with around getting that really good information, advice and guidance out for all, starting at a really young age in schools, but all the way through to all ages. I know at ALP we're really pushing for the Baker Clause to be kind of made accountable, so that schools are accountable and allow independent training providers, other stakeholders, employers particularly, in to talk to students at a fairly young age about the different opportunities and the opportunity to go either academic or vocational. But also just remembering that you can actually go academic, vocational, academic, or vocational academic. So it's all about those progression routes again. So just thank you for your time. We're just coming sort of near to the end of time, I believe. I think we've got another sort of 10 minutes. I'd be really keen to explore what more can we do. We, as you know, work really closely with the government, particularly through ALP and sitting on the board. And part of my job is to make sure I'm influencing government to make sure we're responding to you as employers and your needs. So, what is working well and what's not working so well? If I was to go back with some key messages of what you would like more of, or done differently, I'll be really interested to get your thoughts, and as wide a remit as you like. I'm not sure who would like to go first. I don't know, Katie, you've kind of involved with quite a large number of apprentices. Are the things working well for you and not so well?
I think overall the levy and the way that's funded through to training providers is working well. I think one thing I was inputting on as part of a survey this morning was around the flexibility of funding and being able to front load funding to make that work well for businesses. And I know something we've worked with Estio on, for example, is trying to front load some of our programs so that our apprentices get the skills and knowledge they need early on, so that they're actually making a difference to the business and able to take part in the role that we're training them to do at an earlier stage. And having them give back to the business as quickly as possible makes them really valuable for us. So being able to front load the funding and the training for us will really help us to get people into those roles quicker and have them bringing that value back in. So that's something that I'd like to see explored in a little bit more detail, is whether there's the option there to front load funding to support providers to do that for us in that way where we feel it's beneficial.
Yeah, and that's really good that you brought that up. And in fact, and pilots are taking place currently at the moment, and I know at Estio for a couple of our employers we have actually done that, because actually the roles don't allow the individuals to land in a role unless they get that front-loaded training. So it's quite exciting that the government are looking at that, but also they're not just looking at allowing that front loading, but they're also happy to adjust that funding. So there's some really good pilots going on at the moment. I just wondered, Charlotte, if there was anything that you wanted to add that I could take back.
So I think we've always been clear that the levy is fantastic and we're great to use it just like everyone else. We would like more flexibility on that to be able to use our levy pot to the maximum. So we would love to be able to use it for headcount and bring in lots more apprentices. I'm sure lots of other businesses feel the same way. So we will continue to lobby on that and continue to ask for that. It's great to see that. I think the government is understanding that sometimes businesses do need the flexibility. So I know there's been conversations now about flexible apprenticeships and things like that. It would be good if they go even further. Especially within aviation, we have a lot of seasonal contracts and things like that, where we just can't offer an apprenticeship at the moment, where we would love to. So I think that exploring that would be beneficial to us.
Yeah, great. That's really good. Anything from yourself, Adam? What's working well? Maybe you'd quite like me to take back any comments.
I just think in general the government's approach is always around stats, around getting people into university, and the emphasis perhaps not entirely shift towards apprenticeships, but it should be more evenly shared, I think.
Yeah. And Chris, I know you've been heavily involved in lobbying and shaping your programmes, and offering such a variety of different programmes. Is there anything that the government could do better to support your business, or what's working really well with the levy for you?
Yeah, I agree with everybody else. I mean, I think, going back to the previous question, there needs to be more education around it, so people are more aware. And also from the levy, it's great. I mean, my levy pot continues to grow rather than shrink as we as a business continue to grow. But again, it's around flexibility. I'd love to be able to turn around and say, I can use the levy for NEBOSH, mental health first aid training, mental health awareness training, all through obviously recognised providers. But to have that as an opportunity, because it is such an issue at the moment that needs addressing, and we can help and support with that. And obviously as a business we pay for it, but if we've got a levy, then it would be great if we could utilise some of that for some structured commercial training, I guess.
Yeah, and there's been particularly on the digital front. So there's been this whole debate about should there be these mandatory qualifications that sit within the apprenticeship, and there's been a shift to yes, there should be, no, take them out. And we've seen in the digital route review that they've taken all the vendor qualifications out of the apprenticeship standards, and now there's a whole debate about actually if employers want those mandatory qualifications such as IOSH and vendor qualifications that we've had removed from the digital sector, actually back in, because it's employer led, and that's what you need your employees to have. So it'd be interesting to see how the Trailblazer groups work, and reaching out to you for discussions around, what qualifications do you want in as part of the apprenticeship standard, and why they're needed, and how important they are for that individual to focus and be able to operate in that job role. So I don't know if you've been involved, anyone on this call so far, in any of those discussions. I think it's very much at early stages, but if you're wanting those qualifications built into some of the apprenticeship standards, I would start to get prepared to help us fight that battle to get them back in when they've just all been taken out again. So I just wondered if there was any, before I kind of wrap up, any further questions, comments that you would like to make. If I just go around the table, Adam. Great, thank you. Katie?
No, thank you very much for having me join today.
Yeah, Charlotte?
No, nothing for me. Thank you, Nikki.
Chris,
Nothing for me, thanks.
Jake, would you like to, anything you wanted to add from everything you've heard from today?
No, I think it's been useful, hasn't it? Like you say, to sort of see the impact of apprenticeships across different businesses. Like I say, different backgrounds, but no, I think it's been interesting. And yeah, thanks for having me as well.
Yeah, no, great. So it just sort of comes to me to say thank you very much. It's been a great week. You've made it even better by finishing off on a Friday afternoon, which is really mean of us to do. So just to say thank you for your time. So Adam, Katie, Chris, Charlotte and Jake. It's been a great conversation, some really great points raised that I shall feed back, and it's all about building that future. So thank you for your time and have a lovely weekend.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.